Is Georgia's offense going to pop the way we saw it pop against Oregon? You know what I mean, all right? We're talking about flash, speed, efficiency, getting down the field, scoring early and often. That's what they did against Oregon. Listen, that did not happen against Samford, all right? And as much as a lot of us, don't want to live in the past, that Samford game did happen on Saturday, and they came out really flat. I thought that there was a lack of energy, not only within the team, but within the stadium. To me, I think they need to pop against South Carolina early in that game when they go up there to Columbia on Saturday. All right, it's a noon kick. That doesn't help. That doesn't help South Carolina. All right, it being at noon, fans gonna be waking up late. You would rather that be a night game at home, playing against the number one Georgia. So Georgia, to me, has an opportunity to walk into, the name of the stadium is blanking on me, but to walk into Columbia and beat the crap out of them early in that game and then just cruise to the finish line. That sends a message, and that should strike fear in a lot of people across the country. Hey, it wasn't just 2 games where they dominated. They just went on the road in the SEC and they mean business. Hey, look, this offense might be the best in the country. It's up there. It's up there. And so to me, I think I'm not a coach. I'm not Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart would be the first to tell you, I don't know anything about football. I know a little bit. And I know that they looked a lot better against Oregon than they did against Samford, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, 7 straight possessions, 7 touchdowns. They got down there fast. I mean, most of those drives weren't longer than 5 minutes, guys. They were in the 3 to 5 minute range in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Samford, all right, that rolls around. Weather's not great. Crowd was a little quiet. Energy's down. Well, the energy was down on the field too. They weren't flashing down the field as fast as they did against Oregon. All right, they got stopped in the red zone a couple times, especially on the first 2 drives, those 2 field goals. You don't win games by kicking field goals. That's straight from Smart himself after the game. So when they go in there against South Carolina, to me it's important that they score fast and they score a lot. And look, South Carolina doesn't have the guys to hang with them. They don't have the dudes. All right, this isn't a South Carolina team of the early 2010s that had people like Jadeveon Clowney and Stephon Gilmore. They don't. When your most touted player is Spencer Rattler, you're not in a good position, all right? Because, newsflash, Spencer Rattler's not that good. Am I missing something? Is it just me? Because all of a sudden, this week, now that Georgia's playing Spencer Rattler, Spencer Rattler this, Spencer Rattler that. I wasn't hearing all that for the last 2 years, all right? I heard that in high school when he was in high school. But the last 2 years, people have been fading him because he just hasn't played that well. He's never played a defense like Georgia's. So I don't think he's going to be on the field that much because Georgia's offense, I believe, is going to just run and gun against these guys. Rattler should have issues. That's a whole nother topic. That's a whole nother video. There's my 1-minute Spencer Rattler rant. Anyways, on offense, is there concern about the run game? I would say slightly. All right, I don't think they're bouncing off of guys. There's quote-unquote power run. They seem to be lacking that a little bit. I don't think it's that big a deal personally because they've masked that with the side-to-side, that quick action, boom, boom, out to McIntosh in the flats, out to Edwards in the flats, out to Milton in the flats, out to Lamakonki, out to whoever. And it's quick hitting, it works, it's efficient, and it's a big part of Stetson's game now. Stick to what's working, all right? Because to me, 33-0 is not a joke, it's not a slouch. I think the defense far outperformed Georgia's offense on Saturday, but when you look at the difference in the way that they moved down the field from week 1 to week 2, it was drastic. And I think that the realistic version of the Georgia Bulldogs is somewhere in between. Looking at 49 points versus 33 points, I've been on record saying I think they're going to average somewhere between 40 and 45 points a game. Throw the points out of the way. Just the way that they looked was just slow. Stetson not his best game, but Stetson still threw 300 yards and it wasn't super inefficient. They just weren't scoring. And to me, when you go on the road against an SEC opponent like South Carolina, you don't want this to be a game. Like, Georgia, you could be done with this game, guys, at the end of the second quarter. That's what you want if you're Georgia. All right. You don't want a fourth quarter game with South Carolina. Not because you couldn't win a fourth quarter game, but you just don't want that. The resume matters. The feel matters. I mean, look, Bama, not only was it a fourth quarter game, we're talking about like a last 20 or 30 seconds game against Texas, okay? I'm not sure Texas is that good. I don't know if they're better than South Carolina or not. They're probably in a similar tier. So on the road, Georgia, what did Alabama just do last week? You could go into South Carolina and send a message to every single college in America, hey, we're the best in the country again. Because to me, it looks like they're the best in the country again. I think against this SEC opponent, tapping right by the mic, I think that's done on the offensive side of the ball because the entire Kirby Smart era for Georgia has been defined by really good defenses, and Georgia's championship offense was really overshadowed. And then this year, in the first game, it was like, oh, this offense is way better. And in the second game, it was like, oh, well, this defense, maybe they're just an all-around team. But if you want to change that narrative, go to Columbia and put up 28 points in the first, 20 minutes. They can do it, all right? We saw them do that to Oregon. And I think Oregon's better than South Carolina, right? Look, I think that this was probably a tough week of practice for them. I know that Kirby wasn't happy after what happened on Saturday. You could see on the side, it was one of the most visibly upset I've seen him in a minute. So I think that definitely matters. And I think that matters because every single Georgia football player you ask will tell you that the practices are much harder than the games. So I think this week has probably been a really tough week of practice. I don't think the heat matters that much. They practice in the summer in the heat the entire summer. Why should Saturday in Columbia? Why would the Chickens be more accustomed to the heat than Georgia? I don't see why that would affect it at all. I think you're going to see an offense that's much more similar to the one you saw against Oregon than the one you saw against Samford. That's my take. Make sure you're on the site dogpost.com. Make sure you're checking out DAWGSTRUCTION. All those links are down below at DAWGPOST on all your channels.